punch him, but he moved to Florida, so I couldn't reach.
But you're going to Florida, so you're going to track him down and punch him.
No, I did that already.
Oh, okay.
No, at this point, I could have hit him for different things, but I chose not to.
Because that's bizarre.
I'm just like that. Anybody going to start us
July
off?
8th.
No?
Okay.
July 8th. See, I told you.
Yeah, hold on.
Jesus.
Before we forget, Andreas, tomorrow is daylight savings time because we were worried you already fell into that black hole. So for next week, be thinking about that. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, presumably you would have had a week to acclimate.
Well, theoretically.
But he'll be off schedule from us, so he won't show up to his beloved movie of V for Vendetta next week if he doesn't pay attention to the time.
Oh,
was that his pick? I felt like that was kind of a community thing.
No, it was his pick.
All right, good job, Andreas.
I definitely fought for it.
I accept that pick.
Yeah, you did a good job, especially like timing. You know,
I do not accept the pick of what you just put in there, though. What did you just choose, Justin?
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Come on now. It is a perfect movie.
I've only ever read the book. I've still never actually watched it.
Oh, dude. So, okay. Like, it's funny because the anecdote, I'll take a couple minutes and then, we can actually talk about Dresden. But, so I had a bunch of coworkers go to see it at the time, but I had something scheduled and I think I was, like, newly married, right? So probably was like, well, I guess I got to go home to the old woman, right? But they came back and they were all like, it was okay. And I was like, I only have one question. So spoilers and swearing warning, because if you don't like the F word, just disconnect right now. I asked, did the president of the United States hit a motherfucking vampire in the face with an axe? Mm-hmm. Then it's everything that is said on the tin, and that's all that I want. And so, but for whatever reason, I just never got back to it. And then I finally, I started working through, some of the movies on HBO, because I've been watching, I watched It Chapter 2 and then this, because, they were about to get off of HBO Max. And then I watched them, I'm like, everybody's in this movie. Not everybody, but there was 3 Marvel actors and a bunch of other people, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and a bunch of other great actors. And I'm like, why did nobody tell me they were in this movie? That made it 50% better than I thought it was going to be. So friggin' Anthony Mackie, hunting vampires. Come on. Who doesn't love that?
That and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. One day I'm just going to watch all those kind of movies in a row.
See, I still have problems with that one. I think the premise is cute and I love zombies, but not Pride and Prejudice. And if I found out that 23 of my favorite actors were in it, then okay, I'll go suffer through it or whatever. But other than that, it was one of those where I was like, no, that's not quite what I'm looking for, So
you need to broaden your tastes.
Yeah, the fact that it's Abraham Lincoln, the president of the United States, hunting vampires is the quirky, ridiculous part of the story, right? But the fact that you have, what is Sewell, right? Or however you say his last name, the bad guy from fucking Knight's Tale is the main vampire, and Howard Stark is the good vampire, and Abraham Lincoln, there's just this whole thing, and it's everybody is good and every scene is good, and it was way better than it should have been. So I was joking about perfect movie, but certainly in the first 30 minutes, I'm like, you get a pick. It's either a perfect movie or I'm gonna make you suffer through it later. So.
I mean, if it's a perfect movie for you, it is a good movie.
Nah, I mean, it was just, like I said, it was just funny, but I mean, it's like Constantine, right? I loved me some Constantine, but I'm not saying it's perfect, right? Anybody could have replaced Shia LaBeouf and it would have been better, probably.
How dare you?
It's one of Shia LaBeouf's best movies, but it's still Shia LaBeouf.
It just would have been different. I mean, he did the thing that he always did in that movie. It's just if you replace it with someone else, it would have been different.
He doesn't die in every movie. He's not Sean Bean.
Right.
Actually, that movie should have been entirely played by Shia LaBeouf, every actor. Up to and including Tilda Swinton's character.
Yeah. Well, that's because that would have been actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf, so...
Does the director still stand the Constantine as a perfect movie after? Yeah.
sorry, I got Marvel reference came to the brain. Big shock there, but she's playing Star-Lord in this scene, and she's like, "Is Constantine still the best movie?" And I'm like, "It never was, but but I loved it. I mean,
it's like there was nothing that I would change in that movie. Maybe some minor things, and I
also,
loved
just
every
in
minute
case
of
anybody was wondering, Footloose not going on the list.
yeah, right. We're putting it in the corner firmly. So
That goes in the Dirty Dancing in the corner.
Yeah.
Every John Hughes movie in the corner.
Speaking of in the corner, we're going to put ourselves in the corner because
by
what are we
going back to
talking about?
TVTropes.
Yeah.
Because this is the
Director
best way
Alex
of contact
enjoys
them.
this way.
Yeah, man.
So
Like, this is better than guns, gadgets, and whatever, but only because we're laughing at other people as opposed to just
yeah,
you.
I mean, so sometimes I feel bad that we're just laughing on people who aren't defending
I
themselves.
don't.
On the other side, they
gives
should
me
be
life.
defending themselves in their argument here. And some of it has been like they'll say something, we looked into it, we thought about it further. It's like, okay, maybe that's interesting, maybe that's correct. It's kind of refreshing us some of times, a couple of times.
Okay,
A lot of
Tropes
it
needs
is
to be
also
taken down a peg.
bad.
sub 10% maybe.
Yeah. But it's like once in a while, it's like, okay,
2%.
that was worth thinking about. Maybe. But it's time. Starting with the White Council, we'll see how far we get through it.
Hey,
The first one's already gold. I read the first one and then I'm like, nope, I got to save it for the show.
Ancient Mai is a Jade Court inductee or the repentant originator of the Jade Court line. The dragon explanation in the TV series was just a way to throw off suspicion.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Yeah, to show that he's notoriously said, no, this wasn't what I wanted, but that was used to throw off suspicion for the books.
Well, it's obviously canon. It's what the author would do.
Yeah, it's what he would do. It's what
Yes.
wouldn't he do?
He lies to us all the time, guys. That's my new favorite
WWJD,
this
man.
week.
It wasn't Jesus. It was Jim. What wouldn't Jim do?
Yeah.
Either she was attacked by a Jade Court vampire or a couple or a few thousand years ago and never fully turned, and Jade Court transmission works in a similar way to the Red Court or the
I was
Jade
going to
Court
say,
vampires.
why are you assuming you even know how Jade Court... You don't know what they are!
Right.
But no,
The
we
real
know they
reason we're
turn
doing
people.
this is I love seeing him in pain. Or Jade Court vampires work more like traditional Jiangshi, and I'm probably butchered that word, don't bother me. Ancient Mai was an early Chinese alchemist and Taoist who was working on ways to achieve at least the agelessness or something, and bring back the dead. And Ancient Mai and the Jade Court are the reason for the necromancy ban in the first place. No.
Thank you. At the same time, sort of meta, sort of pivoting a little bit. The problem with a lot of these things is that these guys write these arguments, and we've discussed this before, but just to drive this home once more, if you included any sources for your crazy ass guesses and your wild theories, that would be nice. But considering like there is as much canon Word of Jim source on the Jade Court, like would take up half of this paragraph on this crazy ass theory, there are no sources for this sort of thing, right? But it's like, talking about making fun of people and whatever, like getting the idea in my head that these are, like pseudo essays of like argumentative purposes, or like not arguments as in they're trying to argue with us, but to like propose, a concept or an argument or an idea. They really need sources, Maybe you could have linked a single quote instead of like, well, she was a dragon in the TV show that didn't make it an entire season. Like,
People forget the
And
crafting.
Jim had no fucking say in.
People forget the crafting part of theory crafting these days. They don't know how to do it anymore.
I could agree to that.
Yeah.
They're just like, theory, post. Okay.
So
Thanks.
the second on the list is Ancient Mai is going to be revealed as a dragon.
Oh, no,
Because that would be funny, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, it
But
wouldn't.
even people inside TV Tropes are saying, no, this is proven wrong. Here's a source to what Jim said.
No. We don't use those here.
yeah, I know, right?
What is sourcing?
I like the reasoning here. They set up Bianca's hatred for Dresden, so they were trying
They
to
were
do book
attempting.
stuff. Yeah. So therefore, surely this dragon thing is correct.
Yeah, remember when they were trying to do book stuff, like when they had the shapeshifter in the first episode that got killed by a magical grenade? Yeah, like that
No,
one
because
made
I
me
never watched this show.
Yeah, that one made me so mad until I went back to like look at where like the time frame of the show versus the books, right? Kind of like what we've speculated with some of the TV trope stuff, and like that episode came out something like 2 years before Turncoat, and so because like I was so mad that they boiled Shag Nasty down to like a 30-minute plot line. That it was like, and it's a magical grenade that even I don't know how it works, but I've got it, and then you caught it, and now it kaboom, and I'm like any show did that better, right? Like my first thought was Buffy, then Supernatural. Like any of them did it better, So, yeah.
Next is the Merlin planned, or at least was aware of and encouraged the events of changes because, oh my God, this person's posting a source, a line from the book.
Is it the Root to Branch?
Fantastic.
Yes, it is that one.
Okay. That's the only line they ever post with that.
Shocker.
But that is still leagues above all the rest of the stuff we've read.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also proven out recently, right? Like wasn't that Lost in Times, like part of his Q&A that he recorded was that, somebody asked him, what was the Merlin's secret plan? Harry, so basically, I mean, it's not quite parallel, but I would say, this one kind of proves out with the whole, he knew what he was doing. He's still a bastard. Like, let's not pretend that this absolves him of anything. In fact, it makes him worse, instead of just being a callous old man who was like, yeah, well, so a little girl dies. Now he's like, yeah, I mean, I know she's going to die. And that'll just be a powerful motivator, won't it? So.
I think this was confirmed by Jim as well. Straight up. In a word of Jim, like he said that it was Merlin's plan, just point Harry at them.
Right.
And he knew about the blood curse or something. I vaguely remember this.
Right.
Could be misquoting.
Yeah, he might not have known about the curse per se, but he definitely knew that whatever happened, Harry was going to take care of it for him. So.
Right. But if that was the case, why did Harry get like no help from the White Council in changes?
Well,
I'm not saying I'm super satisfied with the answer, but
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I never have been.
Yeah, I feel like it's more like it. So it wasn't like, I don't feel like it was a sense where like Langtree was like, there's a 50-50 chance that this is going to succeed, and I'm happy with either outcome. It probably would have been like 80-20 or 90-10. Harry's probably going to fail, but it takes out, McCoy and a bunch of other problems anyway. So once that's done, we'll just roll over the red court because we'll have every reason to do so, right? Because, they'll have definitive evidence or whatever. So either way, he kind of wins in the sense that like he gets rid of a problem, but not necessarily that he was like, oh yeah, Harry's just going to waltz in there and he's going to fuego every single motherfucking vampire on the planet. I'm not sure because like Harry had to do so much investigation to figure out what the Red Court was doing. I can't imagine Langtree just had that in his back pocket and just knew, right? So like that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think he figured that the problem would resolve itself one way or another. And yeah, probably the little girl's going to die, and it's going to take out Dresden, who's a huge pain in my ass, and it's going to take out McCoy, who's a huge pain in my ass. And then we can finally get the war going proper, the way that it's supposed to go, right? As opposed to, oh yeah, totally Dresden's going to take care of this for me and whatever. Like, because we're rooting for Dresden, right? That's the outcome we'd want. We'd want Langtree to be on his side, but I just don't see it.
I don't even care about that. Part of the problem for me is Langtree is very much in the we've only got tell, we haven't got any show. Like, we keep getting told how much of a genius he is, but
right.
Twice at least on screen we've seen Harry outmaneuver him. And it's not like Mab, who we've seen her plans come to fruition. It's not like Vadarung, who we've seen his plans come to fruition. It's not, I mean, Nicodemus has the same kind of problem. Like, he's, big and scary, but okay, so Harry keeps beating him, like, at a certain point, and how much do I care?
Right.
And then you tell me, okay, so Langtree's actually, like, he's just that subtle. He's just that in the background, like, and so he allows the Great Council to run around, despite the fact that the council nearly just fractured into, this is all where he's just that much of a political savvy person.
Well, yeah, some of that stuff is that I think trying to clamp down on, like first of all, like Morgan's fear, right, through Turncoat. If they acknowledge the fact that there are splinter groups, then that's just going to reinforce it, obviously, right, make the problem worse. And if he suddenly like comes through and cracks down on everybody like openly, and it's like, oh, these are the Grey Council, and either implicates them as the Black Council or that they were a splinter group or whatever, he's just going to make the problem worse, right? But Langtree is like, the ultimate in Switzerland, in my opinion, right? He would literally do nothing while they got eaten rather than like take an action in a lot of ways, right? Like what positive actions have we seen him take to like try and stop a problem? Kind of like what you said, like he hasn't done anything, like pop culture references, shocking everybody. The thought that comes to mind is he's like the Minister of Magic up until he literally fucking sees Voldemort in the Ministry of Magic. He's like, nothing's going on. It's fine. We're badasses. We're going to handle the problem. There's no problem. And then all of a sudden it's like he's faced with, oh yeah, shit. I got to do something, so
because people would probably argue like that would be Peabody's influence, but it's not as strong.
Not anymore.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
But it's not. So even if you say, okay, the break was Turncoat, and that's when he, the next book, he's like, oh, we're going to take charge now and all. It's like, that's still just one book. You had this all along. 2, now I'm supposed to believe you're just that hyper competent. And right. 3, okay, so you want this, you're playing both sides, and you could have still done something.
Right. Yeah, so much as send a contingent of wardens to cause a distraction, right? Rather than Harry having to like tap into the ley line and like, do his earth magic thing to wipe out the trash. You could have at least had some wardens like off on the side, kind of like the Grey Council do later, right? Where it's just like they show up and at least stir the pot so that Harry and the Scoobies can go do what they need to do.
You could have,
but
like, they didn't do anything. Ever tries to take credit for what the Grey Council does, I'm going to be mad. Well, he better
you could have not let Ariana into your main headquarters to spread a virus. Like, surely that could have been had in a warehouse somewhere.
Right. Yep.
Like, even if that's Christos' thing, it's like, okay, just cordon it off outside.
Right.
It's funny because every other White Council meeting up until this point has been not there, right?
Right. It started in a hotel, like conference room when they had it in summer nights. Yeah, like you could rent out somewhere,
I mean, the council's on hard times, the little cashola.
You couldn't Verbo with Lake House? I mean, don't tell me you couldn't have handled that.
Guineas don't go as far as they used to, so
they can't use the app.
Someone can. I guarantee you they can outsource that.
Yeah, they've got squibs. Come on now, somebody can do the tech for them.
You could just send someone who looks really old to some Starbucks and barista's like, I need this thing, and I'm a helpless old person who doesn't know how to use a phone, and just like make it.
Yeah, anytime you see an old person in Starbucks who's not working on an actual screenplay, they're just doing like White Council business transactions.
Right.
The Merlin routinely assumes false identities to disguise his long lifespan because in Summer Night, McCoy calls him Alfred, and later his name is Arthur. So having 2 names totally means that he's changed his identity a few times.
I mean, shit, he's a wizard. He's probably got 8 names, right? But
yeah.
I mean, I'd chalk that up to the author making a mistake before I accepted the fact that he's got a secret identity. Like, yeah,
it's just Harry's been mind whammied.
Yeah, I know. Like, I want to look that up. That's not one I ever caught.
Because he says I Alfred Laddie instead of Arthur.
But then later his name is Arthur Langtree. Yeah.
No, his name always was. It just happens to be that he says Alfred instead in this one.
Maybe McCoy was just trying to annoy him.
Sure. Because he's very good at that.
Yeah, I'd go with that. If just like that was the name that he was called when they're kids in the French and Indian War. For whatever reason.
Well, yeah, I know. I was like, is this another one of those weird, like Richard versus Dick, kind of like nickname things? Or like maybe of all the weirdness, like he's making a reference or something. I don't know. But like I could think of a dozen other things that aren't supported by the fact that he called him by 2 different names. Therefore, it's an alter ego that somehow only Ebenezer knows about and made a slip of the tongue. Like,
yeah. Or he
Occam's
has one
razor.
of those ridiculously British names that has like 6 of them.
Well, yeah, because again, you've got Dumbledore. Even Dresden's got 4 names, for crying out loud. Like, it just seems like a wizard thing to do. It's what the author would do, to give wizards like 8 names. Like, I don't know.
It's in his style.
Okay, that's what they would do themselves if it gave people less of a chance to have a hold over them.
For sure. Yeah,
I identify as 37 names.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of people with
universe, I
aliases.
totally buy it. Yeah.
So the logic of the Merlin or anyone else assuming false identities or aliases or whatever just to keep themselves safe and in general do that thing of I'm not telling you everything's a secret, even my name, that makes sense. The motivation to disguise his long lifespan seems superfluous.
Well, yeah, he's a wizard. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, and he looks like Dumbledore.
He looks like the wizard's wizard, right?
Yes.
And I always love, talking about Dumbledore, I always love the scene where he's at the ministry and he introduces like all 8 of his names, especially because he has that extra pause on Brian, so.
Well,
Brian,
that's the only name that doesn't fit there.
Right. Yeah. The rest of them are like wizard, wizard,
Wolfric, Brian.
Right.
Like,
it's probably him trying to recall, what's that fucking muggle name they gave me? Oh, yeah, Brian.
Like, they just got lazy at the end there.
The Merlin knows far more than anyone suspects.
Thanks.
Okay, granted.
Sure. Apart from Harry Dresden, name me one character in this book that doesn't know more than they let on.
Hold on.
Fucking Maggie knows more than she lets on, and she does.
I almost said Sonya, but that didn't quite stick.
Well, because him and Butters could get Intellectus from God if they needed any information. So it's like,
well, there's that too, but it would be in Sonya's character, in my opinion, for like Dresden to be arguing with somebody about some magical minutia, and then Sonya's like, no, that's not how it works, and then just like correct them, right? Because he's got that kind of just like base, personality where it's just like, no, I mean, I've been around the block. I've learned a thing or two. So,
maybe Daniel Carpenter. He seems like he's an idiot.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Presumably he was fat.
I'm sorry, what? You went into another language there.
I was thinking, every time Sonya gets brought up, I think about him talking to Harry about that map. I think it's a funny scene.
You're a crack dealer for fairies? Shame. So.
The Merlin does, in fact, collect bottle caps.
Okay, granted, I don't care.
Fine.
So, yeah.
Take it. You know what?
Yeah.
Not even just but Snapple facts specifically.
I want, this is going in the next Q&A. If one of you is listening and you make it to Dragon Con or wherever he shows up next, because I know we just had Dragon Con, like, I want you to ask him if Arthur Langtree actually collects bottle caps. So
he's gonna be like, no, it's stamps.
And which organization did he send such bottle caps to so that he could get his Merlin title? Because
you know what he collects? He collects Pogs because he doesn't know they're out of style.
Oh no, he's still too old for Pogs. But thank you for making me feel old. So
come on, it's a circle. It's a circle of cardboard with a picture on it. That's got to be like brand new technology to him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's like, I used to do bottle caps, but wouldn't you know the new hotness the mortals are trading? Like, Langtree, that's like 30 years old, my dude.
Oh, maybe I'll look into Beanie Babies.
It's Pokemon
right. Oh, no.
He leverages the entire White Council's stock position on a first edition Charizard.
Yeah, awesome.
Bro, that's a good investment.
But it's shiny. You don't understand.
How did they get it like this? What is this sorcery? Yeah. Holographic imaging. And he thinks,
buy the Pokemon company.
Mind magic, and he's like going to fight the whoever created Pokemon.
What are these things? Huh? I didn't know what a Pog was, so I Googled it. I'm very confused.
God, you're like a 5-year-old.
Now I'm not sure if I know what a Pog is. I'm thinking it's those round discs that you used to collect.
That is exactly all it is.
And then you stacked them, and then you had slammers, and
you would flip them and see if you could win them against your friends.
Oh,
if you had friends.
We never played. We just collected and traded.
I never played either. It was slightly past my time too, but I had a bunch of it.
the playing was always riskier, right? Because like the idea was like whatever you flipped over, you kept. And so like you had the shiny holographic ones for that too. And so it was like it became trivially easy to like flip over an entire stack. So like people I think just got more into trading and then they were like, okay, we're done, But elementary school for those of us that learned math on an abacus, apparently.
And before that it was marbles.
Did you really on an abacus?
It was Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but the fact that you had to ask, though, really is the point of the joke.
It's like, that's the
Do you think that actually, now that we're on a tangent, could you do a code duello with Yu-Gi-Oh cards and like a time to duel, and you just like that's your weapon of choice is a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Bro, that would be so cool. And the wizards, they can maybe actually send you something like the Shadow Realms. Like, yeah,
dude, they could actually fucking summon.
Right.
They could actually summon the Dark Magician and just go nuts. I think they should invest in this.
Yes, they should.
Yeah. Okay. So add that.
I'd be up for Magic too.
Should we save that one for an interview question? Be like,
yes.
Mr. Butcher, could wizards duel other immortal types with Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
I will happily ask him that. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I actually will not have been the stupidest question ever asked.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just going to step in here with a moment of lucidity and say that I believe that the weapon types in the contests are outlined in the Code Duello. So that would require an amendment and ratification by, anyway. I'm just saying, because like Ivy lists them out a little bit, right? I don't think that was an all-inclusive list, but that's where the whole like will,
it
weapons,
probably was, but
energy projection.
I think if you get pedantic enough, you could argue Yu-Gi-Oh cards in one of those categories.
I'd be willing to extend an olive branch and meet you halfway that one of the contests would be strategy, and they probably intend something like chess or three-dimensional chess, but Yu-Gi-Oh cards would be an acceptable proxy. So
willpower was one of them, right? So if you believe in the heart of the cards strong enough, that's will. I've done it. I have satisfied the requirements. It's time to duel. We got it.
Oh man.
I mean, we all know these Fey rules is all about really just about being pedantic as much as possible, right? So,
yep.
Well, the stupid shit is that Dresden is like, I forget the main character, right? But everybody knows who I'm talking about, even if you didn't watch the show. But it's like he's the guy that like inexplicably every time by the end of the episode summons Exodia, right? It's like there's a 1 in 14 quintillion chance that this is going to happen. Yet somehow every episode where it matters, Dresden's like, and I summon Exodia because lucky is his superpower, not good or anything else, But anyway, all right. Can we please?
Okay,
done with this topic.
Nope.
Lucio likes, perhaps even prefers girls.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
I think Lucio prefers girls is their assertion versus men. As okay.
I don't know if she prefers girls, but I'm pretty sure she also likes.
I don't
girls.
think she has a problem with anyone to enjoy, but.
Isn't she like 14th century decadent? So it's just like.
Well, Laura hints at the appetite she whatever.
Her taste used to run differently. They're quoting.
Like, all right,
there you
fine.
go.
She's
fantastic.
We figured it out, even though it was kind of.
I don't know. That could also just mean blondes instead of hairy.
They do have more fun.
Also, it's not like when she was laying off her list of grievances about Peabody's influence that like he made her straight and she wasn't. So
yeah. Ooh, can you imagine the shit that anyone would get?
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
What a petty thing to do.
Okay, Lucio is/was pregnant.
God.
I never saw any of it about Lucio possibly being pregnant just because they were boning, but it doesn't surprise me that like anytime sex happens, therefore pregnancy must be a question to answer.
Yeah, Harry's got to have that third kid.
Okay, hold on. So just for a moment, let's pretend that you're several centuries old, sex-positive wizard, and you're telling me that she didn't use protection magically, physically, or otherwise?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't exactly get into the bedroom, thank God, but come on, guys. Like, you're telling me she couldn't just figure that out?
There's a potion for that.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's a potion, there's a root, there's a ritual, there's literally latex condoms, there's
No.
actual birth control. Like,
Potion B. That's all it takes. Potion B.
Right. There's practically no reason to entertain this, right? It's just unnecessary.
Well, there's no reason to entertain any of this, but what else are we gonna do?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. So Harry has at least 3 kids, in my opinion, right? So we've got Maggie, who's obvious. We got Bonea, who some people would probably forget is actually literally a child of his. And then we got whatever Mab does. Because if you think that shit's not coming back from fucking Mab at some point, like literally both fucking Mab and because fucking Mab, then you got another thing coming. Like that's literally why you don't fuck around with fairies and find out. Because you will, like for all we know, we got baby Dresden already leading her armies at the fucking gates, right? Like Leah's out there with 8-year-old Dresden riding in a battle for all we care because time works differently. But like, those are guaranteed. But like, why does Lucio need to have a kid? So, anyway.
Well,
so that the kid
there's a minor point. If she was being so mentally controlled and everything, possibly to be the honey trap to Dresden, she could have been forced to not do any birth control as well. But that's just a level of, it's a little bit too much and it's not needed and that wasn't the point of anything. And he doesn't need to have 3 children.
All it's going to do is have a conversation later where it's like, I had a magical abortion, Harry. What is it going to accomplish?
Yeah.
I sacrificed our child to, the sleeper. He's going to chill out for a little while.
Andreas, did your soul leave your body?
I was going to say, he keeps looking like he's falling asleep. Like daylight saving time just happened.
Yeah. Just contemplating? Because you still ship Lucio, right? That's your flame?
I mean,
right now he's writing the fan fiction with
I thought they were great together. No, I don't think you'll ever catch me writing fan fiction, dude. It's not going to happen.
Lucio,
we're not going to catch you, but we might see the results of it somewhere. So.
Lucio has easily been his most stable relationship, and it was the result of fucking mind control. So I'm on board with it still.
It was a good relationship, man. It's sad that then it got ruined. I still ship it.
Ruined at the beginning.
Their relationship died so that Susan could die, and I'm happy about that.
And Murphy.
And Murphy died. Oh yeah, we're 2 for 2.
two for 2. I mean, I don't know. I like Murphy, but I don't like
you.
Susan,
Have bad priorities.
Hey, I ship Lucio above all.
Yeah, Harry just needs to hook up with Butters, and finally he'll die.
Yeah, Lucio would have been really great, but the mind control thing torpedoed that and then blew up the ashes. So
just a little bit. Give her 100 years, she'll get over it.
Just a little bit, yeah. No, because anyway, I'm not getting into this, but no.
Yes, you will.
Okay. Moving on.
What?
Rashid can't really predict the future.
Okay.
I mean,
which she? Oh, Rashid.
I don't know. He doesn't exactly.
I thought you were saying like she as in like Mab or something. Like Rashid. I didn't hear Rashid. Yeah. We all know that's bullshit because Odin literally has an eye that can see the future.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. That's great.
Andreas, what were you saying?
That was a terrible argument that I don't want to support.
That wasn't even an argument.
That lends too much credence to Director Alex's.
That's why it wasn't an argument. It was just said. Just to annoy.
Rashid is really Merlin.
Yeah.
In Cold Days.
Didn't we talk about that too? Why not? So
Rashid is Morgan Freeman's character from the Robin Hood.
I think their justification for Rashid as Merlin is because Rashid kind of dresses the way Alec Guinness did in Star Wars, and that's what Bob used Alec Guinness as the model in the Cold Days thing.
No. What? Guys. Like if anything, Alec Guinness was on Tatooine, which was filmed in Tunisia. So maybe the local garb had something to do with it. And since Rashid is actually Arabic, like holy prior art, Batman. This is like Lord of the Rings is a ripoff of Star Wars levels of stupid. Like no.
Wait, you mean they didn't go to another planet to film that?
Yeah. Right.
Oh my god!
It was filmed on location in a galaxy far, far away.
We're skipping the next one.
I always picture.
I don't want to talk about it.
I always picture Rashid in like a Fantasia type outfit. I never picture him in just a brown robe.
Well, he's got, like, it's a Holocaust cloak in my mind, right? He's got the stupidly huge, deep robe, you know, with, like, his gleaming eye underneath or whatever, you know, like...
Wasn't his robe stated to be colored at one point in time?
I don't know. But, like, what I have pictured doesn't always necessarily match up to the text, and I acknowledge that. The main reason why Rashid is not Merlin, though, is could you imagine creating something in 5 or more dimensions and then showing up to it being pissed off because you fucked something up 1,000 years ago? Like, Demon Reach doesn't like Rashid and holds a grudge. So...
Why'd you make me born, Daddy?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, unless we got some weird daddy issues, like you're suggesting, like, no, I don't think so.
We all have some weird daddy issues to one degree or another.
I'm not going to talk.
Yes, director. Let's have you add to this conversation.
Oh,
or are you just waiting for the
person.
next one? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. I don't know the trope name for it, but it seems like sloppy narrative to. Oh wow! You just killed Andreas out of the conversation, but it seems like sloppy narrative to have 2 characters in the same story who both call out to the Odin myth by being one-eyed humorous precog badasses who help out the protagonist when necessary. Either Odin is pretending to be Rashid or vice versa. And as of this book, we still haven't seen them both in the same place at the same time. So, yeah.
My God,
I hate everything about it.
They do have the same template. They even have the same knowledge pool. They do basically the same type of shit to help Harry. They are weirdly similar. And it would definitely be in Odin style, and it wouldn't be in Butcher style to simulate Odin style.
Yes,
I like these arguments, actually. True and real.
Every wizard with precog abilities must be Odin. Like,
now, every wizard with one eye and many aliases.
What many aliases does Rashid have outside
his
of your
eye
head
has
canon?
A disguise.
Okay. That's not an argument, though. Like, it's a joke. It's not an argument.
It is an argument when you want it to be true.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
Which is what a lot of these TV tropes are. Like,
this argument here with the director we've had for I don't know how many years now. She represents those people with that argument. That's her. That's all of them.
I'm tweeting him right now because this has gone on far enough. Dear Mr. Butcher, please tell me once and for all that Odin and Rashid are not the same fucking person. God damn it, please.
I feel like your thumbs are just going up and down the same place. I feel like you're lying to me right now. You're not really typing anything.
Why? Because
are you telling me he's not a convincing mime?
Yeah, right. Man, I'm more French than most of us. Like, I got a little bit of mime in there somewhere, I'm sure.
I mean, you're wearing an Irish shirt, though, so... See, he left. He can't handle this. He can't handle this.
2 rage quits in 1 episode. This is fantastic.
You've seen what you've done.
5 minutes.
I feel like you're fucking me with that whole Twitter miming thing. I'm out. We love you.
Did you push the?
We're not laughing at your expense.
I am.
It's when I go to switch. When I switch tab, and I
maybe
press back by accident.
Focus on your job. Stop tabbing out.
Yeah, you alt tabbed and it just killed everything. Are you sure you were hitting tab and not F4?
It's got 2 fingers on the touchpad is go back. 3 fingers is switch to the other window. So
this is why I hate gesture.
This is why Europeans don't know how to use their fingers.
Wow. Okay.
He shut off all of Norway in one fell swoop.
Oh, good. Harry and Rashid, can we talk about this one?
Harry and Rashid are now co-workers because Rashid's job is to keep the outsider foot soldiers from invading reality and bringing back about the end of the world. Harry's job is to keep bad things under Demon Reach.
Okay.
Because one of them is probably an outsider.
Question: were they not already co-workers as members of the White Council?
Yeah, right.
Does that not count?
That's the first thing that comes to mind.
They're the fighters for the good side, you know. They're like,
they already were. If you ask what the Wizards about it, I mean,
yeah. This one is like, how early on in the series did you write this one? Because obviously the whole, we work for the same organization would roughly make them coworkers, but then, also by the time of like Turncoat and Demon Reach, right? Like, well, and certainly Cold Days, he finds out, a lot more that it's like, Rashid, I guess maybe Harry doesn't know, right? Harry doesn't know that Rashid had his job before, right? He doesn't know he was the fulcrum last time around. That's a word of Jim, not a book thing.
Even still, this just makes them like Ebenezer and Kincaid. They're like, comrades in arms type thing, but they're not, they're not co-workers by this definition.
They're both on Team Reality.
Great. So there's a lot of who on earth isn't a co-worker then?
Where do we place Rashid is like he's like a top level in the field CIA agent, and Dresden is a prison warden. That's their working relate, but they both work for the US government. If we were to put it in real terms.
Sure.
I mean, still, but like Rashid is still kind of Harry's boss. He's literally given him work. Right? So it's not just like they both work in this large, huge, nebulous, thing pointing in the same direction. Like proven guilty was literally Rashid said, deal with this shit or bad things are going to happen. Or, even Summer Night where he said, if you had chosen something else, I would have killed you myself. I mean, a little harsh, a little archaic, but, he's definitely his boss. One of several.
Dread Pirate Roberts.
It's also, this actually harkens back to the Rashid seeing the future. I just thought about that scene in the same, is it in books, what book fucking is it? The one with the Shaq Nasty? Turncoat. Yeah. Where he's like, where Rashid shows up as like, I have to stop you, Dresden. This is too far. And then he can't see that Harry's connected to the island and the futures that involve until he steps on the island. So it's not like he's got full precog. I guess he can kind of see possibilities or something.
Yeah. Well, that's what it seems to be like. What the mothers kind of did, just on a smaller scale, where it's like too many, futures unwinding that are bright ones, is what the comment is. It's like he probably has some general idea when he looks at a person where they're going to branch off to, and that's what he says. You've just traded one headache today for a bigger one tomorrow.
Oh boy. Yep.
Okay, next. Martha Liberty was born a slave.
Joy.
I guess because she was old enough.
That sucks.
And because her name's Liberty, and I don't know.
I mean, sure, it's plausible, but there's nothing in the book to suggest one way or the other. But given her age, it's likely, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, what are your choices at that point? Like, she came over later, or like, maybe she came over, free, and just I could absolutely see her involved with like the Underground Railroad, especially with a name like Martha Liberty. I think that was on purpose. I don't expect that was like her given name, but maybe. But yeah, I mean, what's to argue with on that? So
well, there's nothing, or almost nothing there, so there's not much to argue with. It's just, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, it would be one thing if it was like character mentality, but we've seen her all grand total of like twice. So
yeah,
actually, not even. Summer Night was the biggest chunk of her stuff.
Well, she had a lot to do in peace talks. Even though it was kind of like she's over there, it wasn't like
but that's what it is. It was like her in the archive. They're over there, and
right.
Yeah. Versus in Summer Night, she was actually talking to Harry, talking to people, and we could see that.
Hinting at what she knew about him.
Yeah. It's like, what he was meant to be. It's like, but could you share with the class, please?
No, it's too early.
We already back then we got Starborn references, and Harry still waited, asking until book 15, 16.
It is not the allotted time yet for that theory to be born.
Could at least acknowledge that Harry picks up on this. That's actually a bit of a pet peeve.
Yeah, he can ask the question, and they can refuse to tell.
Yeah, he's been that dumb since he got the name in fucking White Knight.
Rashid was the former warden of Demon Reach before he took up his duties as gatekeeper. I think this is impossible given the fact that Demon Reach doesn't like Rashid.
Yeah, not to mention that has been jossed by the author, right?
Sure, but in terms of not liking, there could be an argument that it's a guilted lover situation,
Yeah,
Do you
I
reach
have, no,
that
I
down?
have no problem with Rashid once have been being that, and it's like, well, he fucked up, and now he's not the warden anymore.
Did I break Justin?
Yeah,
Probably.
why? Why do you need to do that?
Because Rashid's geosexual.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, there's just
Listen,
about
man,
3 inappropriate jokes crossed my mind. Just like no,
And
man.
you
share them
held
with
back?
share them with the
Yes. So it's an old Tarzan joke, right? So, God damn it, you
I
guys are
know
gonna
what you're
get me
talking about.
canceled. You do, you know the joke.
I
All
think
right. So is that enough? No,
No,
do you
I
guys
don't know
need
the
me to-
joke.
Okay. I'm paraphrasing because it's been a long time, but I'm familiar with the joke. But anyway, so like Tarzan Jane, right? You know their story, right? So, so they're starting to fall in love and they're starting to do the romance thing, and then finally, she's kind of like overtaken in the moment and all passionate, and she like strips off her clothes and whatever, and Tarzan's all getting sweet with her and stuff like that, and then she like lays down on some big leaves to like make herself ready and whatever, and then Tarzan like runs up and kicks her right in the privates, and she just jumps up screaming. She's like, "What the hell did you do that for?" And he's like, "Checking for squirrels." So
I've never heard that one before.
and, yeah. Like I said, paraphrased, I feel like there was more setup for that, but hot damn. Like, thank you for that with Rashid and the imagery So again, wizards. I'm just saying, as a wizard, I could be more creative than that. Whatever.
Okay. Harley McFinn went to Listens to Wind for his greater circle to commission it being built, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessary, but okay. It could have been.
I don't know.
Sure as shit didn't go to Kim Delaney until he
right.
did. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, let's assume this is true for the briefest of moments. Why the fuck would you then go to some fledgling kitchen witch to fix it?
Right.
And not
it's a
get
pretty-
in contact with, through your fiance, with a person who knows a senior council member?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty complex working, that circle, right? It's like pretty like the original one. Like surely it had to be a wizard. Why can't he get a hold of that wizard again?
Yeah, hold on. If Tara West already knew Listens to Wind, why didn't she put him in touch? Even if he didn't make it in the first place, why didn't she say, senior council member, he knows how to do this, and not the fledgling kitchen witch?
Probably because we didn't know that, or Jim didn't know she was supposed to know him until
That's
later
probably
on.
the truth thing.
But no, since we have to have an in-world explanation, because otherwise it might break the mystique that he knows everything and does everything and is purposeful with every line. I'm going to just assume she couldn't get in touch with him.
Yeah,
I think you guys are missing the obvious hilarity of this, right? Because I've got this picture now where like 3 to 6 months after the events, for whatever reason, Listen to Wind shows up with a bunch of pizzas like from Community and just be like, "Where's my friend? What happened to his circle?" Because he obviously had nothing at all to do with the story.
He lost track of time, and he's just like, "Oh god, let me bring these pizzas and make him feel better." It's like, what is this?
Right? Like, where Werewolf? Where Tara West? Like,
I can believe it if it was, like Irwin.
Right.
Like a Bigfoot with like 30 pizzas.
right. Be like, wait a minute, the full moon's every month? Damn it.
What the fuck?
The Black Staff is alive, sentient, and evil. Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, right.
I mean, evil's a strong word, but
No, I think it applies in this case. It's
Do you think Mother Winter's evil?
Like, yeah.
well, I mean,
In a way.
again,
From the
it
human
depends
You might
on-
take it as a compliment.
perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
But
she's
She tried to eat Harry because he dared summon her.
by
so-
mortal perspective, morals, yeah, she's probably evil. By the laws of the universe and nature, she's just, her.
I would say within the bounds of our reality, like Winter and Mother Winter, and even like that whole faction is evil.
Well, necessary
But-
evil is always the caveat, right?
But at least they're on Team Reality.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's again necessary evil. That's what that is most likely. I mean, I guess you could probably make the argument that someone like Mother Winter is evil if she actually does eat babies, and I have no reason to doubt her when she says that she thinks infant marrow tastes delicious. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to do that. But if you like what you like, and it's just part of who you are.
If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in eternity. So
you dead ass defending. Yeah, eating children marrow. I mean, there's an argument here that that's not evil. That's just the nature of who she is.
The only thing that makes it more evil is if she seeks it out specifically versus like a dingo that eats the baby. There's really no. It's the intent. So if she intends it and she does actually thinks it tastes, I mean, the creature likes children more, and so for whatever reason, I don't remember. I never actually read the book, but he's evil.
It is also evil,
right?
Oh, like it.
Yeah, like the thing you just watched.
Yeah, no, I just didn't follow because it. So I was like,
it's not still not great naming on King's part.
Well. I mean, it works in the context of the book, but when you're making references outside of that, it becomes.
I mean, I guess I could have just said Pennywise, but whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, Pennywise is objectively evil from the meta multiversal view and everything like that. Like he's one of the forces of evil, like Butthead. Can't remember the main bad guy's name now, but
I thought you meant like from Beavis and Butthead, and I was like, a lot from that cartoon.
Yeah, this is a very super meta conversation. So Beavis and Butthead are actually I just can't. But anyway,
it's funny because Pennywise is even. I would say he's objectively even more evil because all we know from Mother Winter's side is that she kind of thinks babies taste good, but Pennywise actually thinks fear makes the flavor taste better. So he's not just eating kids; he's making them piss their pants first.
We're like on the degree wheel of evil now, but it's all.
So for a little bit of context, Pennywise is so far deep into the black on evil that Stephen King hates writing about him because it scares him, and he's the fucking author that invented him. So, not to mention that from like a meta perspective in like the Dark Tower stuff, like Pennywise is literally trying to bring down one of the pillars of reality. So, like that's pretty bad, right? In comparison, Mother Winter would be like lukewarm. They might enjoy a dinner party together, but like she would get tips from him on how delicious scared babies are. Thank you for making me say those words.
And I mean, Mother Winter would be like, you don't say,
right? Yeah. So she's like,
no, honestly, I think she would find him quaint. It's like, oh, look at you going through all this effort just to salt your meat.
Yeah, right.
Just fucking eat it raw.
Yeah,
just go raw Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. I mean, I just watched it chapter 2 like 2 days ago, so that was fresh. But so
I have not read the Dark Towers yet, but I have read some wiki stuff, and he's like, is he the main evil or like a servant of the main evil? I'm not sure. If...
He might be I'm not hugely experienced, but like so the reason why I looked up is because I looked up a little bit more about the turtle god, right? That like
I was going to say he fights a space turtle. He can't be the main evil.
Right. So I think he's like, one step down from whatever. Like, I don't know what the main evil is, but he is definitely way up there. But
the main evil is the Crimson King. I was
going to say, isn't the main evil like the tower itself or some shit?
I don't know.
Well, he's supposedly like attacking one of the pillars of the tower or something. So I thought the tower was reality, was the way I understood it. So like it was symbolic at least of reality, but again,
I need to read those books.
Yeah.
It's just first.
Yeah, dude, it's daunting. Like there are a few, like Wheel of Time doesn't seem as daunting to me as getting into the Dark Tower stuff, because there's like 10 or more Dark Tower books that doesn't even belie the fact that they make references at times to like 30 other Stephen King books, right? And you probably don't need to go read all of them, but it might have helped to read it and The Stand and a few others before you even get to the Dark Tower, because like you're going to see some of these characters come back, and then the Dark Tower is like way over there in reality, like talking about multiversal and shit that makes sense. Like, you know, the little bit that I understand, like it's nuts.
The stand bad guy is a pretty major player in Dark Towers, I think, from what I remember. At least that's probably a book you want to read before reading the Dark Tower. And the Stand is a pretty hefty book.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I've read those, but there are still like even others. You know, like I've done Salem's Lot, The Stand, It. You know, all great, but
I've only done one Stephen King book. Don't shoot me.
I've got
which
zero,
one?
So.
Yeah, I've not read any.
You're not gonna like it when I say it because it's not one of the classics.
I was gonna say it's probably
a newer,
stupid.
It's a newer one called The Institute, and I actually really liked it.
I mean, one of the I think this one was somewhat newer. Was the whole like was the JFK book? I can't remember the date.
That was the book before the
11,
Institute. If I remember
11/26,
correctly.
63 or 2263, whatever it was.
Yeah.
The date.
That one was really neat, but it's like, you know, it didn't necessarily have to be Stephen King. It was just kind of like a neat time travel-y, like you would see like a Twilight Zone episode about it or whatever. Anyway, we're off subject. So yes,
you noticed.
Mother Winter. No. What?
Listen, some Mother Winters are always trying to ice skate up the
right. And she can because she's Mother Winter. So.
That was your one per podcast, EG.
Yeah.
I will get as many as I feel like. Thank you very much. But yes, I tend to reserve it for one because otherwise it loses its potency.
Okay, last one
Direct.
on the White Council section.
Yeah, and then we go home.
Yeah, well,
Rashid's eye has been empowered by one of the Winter Queens, most likely Mab. I think they have this tie a little bit in the backwards. They think that Rashid's eye has been powered by the Queens, but it's more like they're all drawing the source from the gates, I think.
Right.
Well, Rashid's drawing power from the gates. It's made of the same
eye
material.
is drawing power from the gates.
Yeah.
It's
But I don't think the mother, like everybody, all the Winter Queens are drawing power from the gates. That I don't agree with.
It would utterly defeat the purpose of their positions if that's how it. Like,
I don't think drawing power from the gates, but I would think that because they're the guardians, they're connected to the gates in some fashion.
I mean, sure, but I feel like that's probably in the same way that Harry is connected to Demon Reach, insofar as they, like, if they were there, they would have intellectus about what's going on there and that kind of stuff. But
a sort of power boost that Harry does have on the island, right?
Right, but
there can be an argument for that.
Yeah, maybe when they're there, they can turn into, like, you know, Super Saiyan mode, but
right. Well, so Rashid's eye is literally a part of the outer gates, right? Like it's a piece of it. So it doesn't seem like a huge stretch to me to imagine that Mab has, you know, something akin to like a Palantir made from the gates that's like she can watch it if she needed to, you know, so that she knows exactly what's going on. Because, for example, she knows exactly what's going on in Battlegrounds, that there was a simultaneous attack. The mechanism becomes somewhat academic. Either way, she knew, right? One way or another. Maybe she had a runner because she's got literally millions of beings to do these jobs, right? So it's kind of academic.
Well, I mean, if she's already palling around in Chicago, I mean, Leah's probably there just as backup anyway. So even if Leah told her.
Right. You know, and I could see those two having some kind of, you know, quantum tunnel, you know, of it sharing information.
Well, we see there the mental thing they did with Harry in the book, so
right.
There's no reason to doubt she couldn't do it with every single person in Winter.
True.
Needed.
Also true. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the idea of them getting powered up, you know, like, I mean, I would think so, right? You know, like, it doesn't sound like a terrible idea on its face. It's just not supported in the text so far, right? So to hold that hard line, like, it sounds plausible, but we got no evidence per se, other than Rashid's got, like, that's literally his eye is a piece of the outer gates. That's,
and it's also because the gates are like a thing versus thousands and thousands or however many beings are down there with their own personal power. So, I mean, theoretically, if you go and you draw power from the gates, you're potentially weakening it versus all these beings that could just, you know, replenish their magic at any time.
There's a lot of questions that brings up, right? Because, like, if you take a cup of water out of the ocean, did you weaken it? Like, I don't think the gates are any danger of that. But then it also kind of asks, like, how are they being, powered and supported? Is this a function of the white god, or is it a function of just the fact that people are inside, right? Like, are the outer gates powered by some kind of like blood ritual to like every living creature inside, reality or whatever? And that maybe that's why they have like harbinger type creatures, right? They have the knights and the walkers and whatnot to run around causing muck inside, to either get mortals to summon them inside, which happens obviously, or like where Nicodemus's thing, like, part of my headcanon with his curse has been, wiping out people makes it so that mortals can't summon them, right? That's a stretch for me, but I could see some of those things out there in the connect the dots where that might make some sense, right? But then, it's kind of flying at the face of this that I'm proposing now, which is like, if the gates are being empowered by, the stability and just general life force of everything inside Team Reality, because the rules of the universe is the power's got to come from somewhere, somehow. The main question mark there is the white god, right? Which has always been the thing. Any kind of like faith-based power source always kinds of flies in the face of the fact that the white god existed before he created mankind. So he's not powered by faith, even though all of his other stuff seems to work powered by faith. Like, it becomes circular, right? It's a catch-22. Like, how could he possibly have had the power to do all the things that are credited to him before people had faith in him? So he must exist outside of that tribute. Sorry, too much destiny. But, like the same thing with the fairies, right? The fairies are literally faith-based, and you see that even in other stuff like, what's his face is Merlin, right? The guy from Jurassic Park and
Sam Neill.
Samuel.
Yeah, so Sam Neill, like he ignores Mab to death, right? So that's not even just like a Dresden Files thing. Like, that's out there in the various mythologies. So, like, you could see different examples, but like the gates of reality have to work separately than that somehow, Anyway, lots of words to say I don't know. So,
and that's what we do.
Yeah, we don't know anything.
Some of us know some things, and some of us think they know things they shouldn't know.
Right. I read 17 books. I know that much, plus or minus how much
and
I've
I know
forgotten
Rashid is not Odin.
So.
I know that much.
There's one more. But
That's what you think you know.
I know it.
But I didn't know. Did you know that?
Yes. I know everything.
Yay, we made it through one more section.
Yeah. Next time is fairies and divinities, and just scrolling through, I did see a link to the movie Frozen.
Oh yeah.
At least we could
positively timestamp that one. Carbon date it.
I did not read what it was, but I just saw the link. It's like, okay, that'll be fun next time in 2 weeks.
Fun is a relative term.
Gunpowder trees.
E.g., anytime that this just gets too much for you and you're just really, down and everything, you just got to remember to let it go. Let it go. And
I had a Frozen overload this past weekend in Disney already, so I'm numb to this.
My dude, it's only the end of October. It's starting. Like, you didn't get Disney overload. You just got your first taste of it, because there's 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months of good Frozen time coming.
No,
so.
Frozen's not a Christmas movie just because there's snow.
Let it go.
It depends on how many young, children you have in your life. So.
Enough that I can ignore them and simply watch Muppet Christmas Carol on my own. Thank you very much.
Bah humbug. Yeah.
The greatest telling of a Christmas Carol story, by the way.
I don't know. Can I just love them all equally? Like,
No.
all of the Christmas Carol ones and the Grinch, like, those are my watch list. Maybe
The Grinch
Elf
was fun.
so
Yes, the Grinch was
Grinch,
fun.
but it was a lot of
Jingle All the Way, great Christmas movie. Batman and Robin, great Christmas movie.
right. Die Hard, obviously.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Obviously.
I'm hoping
actually
to add
Just
the
watched
Hawkeye
Die Hard
series.
for the first time all the way through last year. I'd never seen it.
No.
all the way through. Yep.
No way.
What did you do? Fall asleep like in a drunken stupor?
No,
like, how did you not watch?
I've never watched Pulp Fiction. I've never watched lots of things.
Even the director is like
Wait,
short-circuited on that one.
no, I was reading Cody because Cody was saying shit like this.
Oh, well, that's why we don't talk about
No,
it.
sorry.
I mean,
Frozen's not gonna make
my
the
man
cut.
Cody's almost got a point there, but I don't know if it's perfect, but it's pretty good.
I'd be willing to discuss this with you in chat, but the problem is we're only going to have like 2 movies for December anyway.
Hey,
so
put up the one where
obviously
he says
Die
I'm
Hard is
correct
one of
because
them.
the Muppet Christmas Carol is the best movie. Thank
Yes,
you.
this was in reference to the Muppet Christmas Carol.
See?
Cherry picking.
Yes!
This must be so confusing for the people who are not watching on YouTube.
Yeah, I
No,
do
most
recommend
people
watching some
are.
of the stuff, just video instead of
Just watch so we can
audio.
get money.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because at least 3 of the 4 of us, you don't want to see our faces anyway. So I applaud you for making the choice for audio, but you do miss out on
Don't
my
talk about the
faces
director's
sometimes.
face like that. That's
Suppose we should have someone
My
assigned to
eyebrows.
read things out loud when we put them on the screen, so people who are only audio can enjoy the things that Cody says.
You're right. That's absolutely what this podcast was missing was Stephen Hawking reading all of Cody's messages to us. So
well, we
But
could
I can
probably
have it as
afford
a
him now.
robotic voice.
I think we can afford him now. His rates have definitely plummeted recently.
I'm not gonna touch that one.
Like his life was.
Okay.
This has been
Just
an
need to plug him
episode
back
of the
in.
Dresden Files podcast.
And next week,
You get it? He's dead.